There's commitment, and then there's Daniel Day-Lewis.
I really don't know how any of this happened. I do know that I've received so much more than my fair share of good fortune.
It was just, he was Bill the Butcher, and that was it.
Daniel Day-Lewis wasn't just method. He was merciless. Behind the Oscars and iconic roles, he left a trail of rivals, feuds, and full-blown hatred.
He just kind of walks in and everyone gets very, very
serious.
quiet.
Yeah, right.
And then everyone's very focused, and then in between setups.
But for every iconic performance, there's a story of conflict, of rivals crushed under the weight of his obsessive pursuit of perfection. Today, we're diving into 6 shocking rivalries that show just how far Day-Lewis will go to defend his throne. Leonardo DiCaprio. The clash between Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio during Gangs of New York is a Hollywood legend. On screen, they created electric tension. Off screen, it was a storm of egos and method acting that left the entire set reeling.
And I got to work with somebody who was another huge influence on myself as an actor.
Day-Lewis, known for his method intensity, saw DiCaprio as everything wrong with modern Hollywood. A pretty boy with blockbuster appeal. But in Day-Lewis's eyes, no real depth. DiCaprio's golden boy reputation grated on Day-Lewis, whose craft was his identity. Tensions boiled over in one infamous incident where Day-Lewis, fully immersed in his Bill the Butcher persona, spat at DiCaprio's feet and hissed, "You're just a child pretending to be a man." The cast froze, unsure if it was part of the scene or an unscripted dagger aimed directly at DiCaprio.
I don't think I said another word to him through the 9 months that we were there.
But it didn't stop there. The final straw came during the promotion of Gangs of New York. Posters showcased DiCaprio's name in bold, eclipsing Day-Lewis's. Rumor has it, Day-Lewis stormed into the producer's office, ripping down promotional material while declaring, "If he's the king of the world, I'll sink his damn Titanic myself." That kind of bitterness doesn't dissipate. Even during awards season, Day-Lewis couldn't let go. Insiders whispered he threatened to boycott events where DiCaprio's performance was celebrated. To him, it wasn't competition. It was an insult. Though DiCaprio never responded publicly, the unspoken war between them defined their relationship. Ultimately, Gangs of New York became less about the story and more about the off-screen clash of 2 very different titans. It's a tale of method versus modern, craftsmanship versus charisma, and one of Hollywood's most unforgettable rivalries. The lingering question remains, was this pure rivalry, or did Day-Lewis see in DiCaprio something he feared? An actor who could surpass him in Hollywood's history books.
He was an idealist, a utopian.
So you describe him as a bit of a shit.
Well, you could call him that as well.
That's right.
Ian Charleson. Daniel Day-Lewis's feud with Ian Charleson is one of the darkest chapters in his career. A bitter rivalry born not out of direct competition, but a perceived betrayal. The animosity began during a National Theatre production of Hamlet when Day-Lewis collapsed on stage mid-performance. It was a shocking moment that left the cast and crew scrambling. Enter Ian Charleson, who stepped in to save the production, quickly earning praise for his performance.
Very affectionate, but he was a very affectionate man, but he was a man from a different time.
But to Day-Lewis, Charleson wasn't a savior. He was an opportunist. Behind closed doors, Day-Lewis reportedly referred to Charleson as the Vulture, accusing him of circling and waiting for the moment to swoop in and steal the spotlight. This nickname wasn't just petty. It became a symbol of Day-Lewis's seething resentment. The rivalry hit its peak at an awards gala where Day-Lewis, in a stunning display of passive-aggressive spite, delivered a toast aimed directly at Charleson. To those who thrive on others' misfortunes, he said, "May their success be as fleeting as their decency." It was a line so dripping with venom that the entire room fell silent. everyone knew who the target was. From that moment on, the tension between the two was palpable. At industry events, they avoided each other like the plague, their frosty demeanor turning heads. Day-Lewis's animosity didn't fade, even as Charleson's health declined due to AIDS. Despite Charleson's tragic death, Day-Lewis reportedly never softened his stance. Their feud remains a cautionary tale about ego, rivalry, and the pressures of the stage. For Day-Lewis, it was less about competition and more about his unrelenting pursuit of perfection, even if it meant vilifying someone who once stood in his place. Did Day-Lewis's relentless pursuit of perfection blind him to the human cost of his grudges? Jeremy Northam. When Jeremy Northam stepped in to replace Daniel Day-Lewis during another hiatus from Hamlet, he couldn't have anticipated the storm that would follow. What should have been a professional courtesy turned into one of the pettiest rivalries in theater history.
I can't remember exactly, but I mean, I just remember being overawed with your versatility.
I can't believe you said that.
Day-Lewis's dissatisfaction with Northam was immediate and vocal. Rumor has it, Day-Lewis went as far as calling the director to criticize Northam's performance, labeling it uninspired and forgettable. For a method actor like Day-Lewis, whose life revolves around crafting perfection, Northam's stint in Hamlet was seen as an affront to the role's sanctity. The feud didn't just simmer backstage. In interviews, Day-Lewis publicly dismissed Northam's work, using phrases like lacking gravitas to subtly undercut his temporary replacement. This wasn't just professional rivalry, it was personal. Day-Lewis viewed Northam not as a collaborator, but as a shadow attempting to encroach on his legacy. The drama reached absurd heights during a theater retrospective event. Northam, invited as a guest, reportedly found himself ejected at Day-Lewis's request. Witnesses claim Day-Lewis muttered, "I don't need ghosts from the past haunting my work." It was a move so brazen that it shocked even the most jaded industry insiders. What makes this feud so striking is Day-Lewis's inability to let go. Even years after the fact, he would subtly reference unwelcome substitutions in his rare public appearances, a veiled jab at Northam. The entire saga underscores Day-Lewis's obsession with control over his craft, and the lengths he would go to preserve his theatrical throne. For Northam, the experience likely felt like stepping into a tempest. For Day-Lewis, it was another chapter in his legacy of dominance, where no perceived slight went unanswered. But here's the twist. Was it Northam's performance day? Lewis hated, or the idea that anyone could fill his shoes at all?
Yeah. The Italian craftsmen are second to none as well.
Amazing.
I mean, the quality of the work they did was...
Chris Baker. Chris Baker might not be a household name, but his feud with Daniel Day-Lewis is the stuff of Hollywood legend. It all started with a single online critique. Baker, an indie filmmaker, dared to label Day-Lewis's performance in Gangs of New York as overplayed. For most stars, this would have been a forgettable jab in the vast ocean of internet criticism. But for Day-Lewis, it was nothing short of an insult to his artistry. The story goes that Day-Lewis stumbled upon the comment during his infamous deep dives into character research. Instead of brushing it off, he reportedly went into full-blown revenge mode. First, he allegedly tasked his assistant with tracking down Baker's personal information, muttering something about delivering a lesson in person. While no physical confrontation happened, the very notion of Day-Lewis contemplating such theatrics is peak method acting drama. Then came the digital warfare. Under the pseudonym Real Actor 2000, Day-Lewis is rumored to have created a burner account to relentlessly troll Baker online. Comments like, "You wouldn't recognize true art if it fell into your lap," flooded Baker's posts. While unconfirmed, the stylistic venom bore an uncanny resemblance to Day-Lewis's intensity. But the pièce de résistance? A VHS copy of My Left Foot allegedly showed up at Baker's doorstep, accompanied by a handwritten note. Study this. You might learn something. If true, It was an act so petty and theatrical it could only come from a mind like Day-Lewis's. The feud became an unspoken inside joke among industry insiders. For Baker, it was a cautionary tale about poking the bear. For Day-Lewis, it was another example of his inability to let any perceived slight go unpunished. This wasn't just an actor's pride. It was Day-Lewis's relentless obsession with his craft turned weaponized. But one question lingers. Was this about the critique, or Day-Lewis's deeper fear of being misunderstood?
To play this role was like a big gift.
Vicky Krieps. Few could have anticipated the behind-the-scenes drama between Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky Krieps during the filming of Phantom Thread. On screen, their chemistry was magnetic. Off-screen, it was a battlefield of artistic philosophies.
Well, I think it's always sad if someone who is so talented, stops giving what he knows to do.
Krieps, known for her free-spirited and improvisational approach, clashed head-on with Day-Lewis's rigid, methodical process. Day-Lewis reportedly accused Krieps of disrupting the sanctity of the set when she improvised a line during a particularly intense scene. It was a minor creative choice for her, but a cardinal sin for Day-Lewis, who viewed it as a betrayal of the script's precision. Things escalated when Day-Lewis demanded a formal apology from Krieps in front of the cast and crew. She refused, standing her ground and defending her style. This defiance only fueled Day-Lewis's ire. Crew members allegedly divided into factions, with Team Daniel praising his commitment to authenticity and Team Vicky supporting her fresh, modern approach. The tension boiled over during a critical scene where Krieps delivered an improvised gesture that Day-Lewis felt undermined his character's authority. He stormed off the set, leaving director Paul Thomas Anderson to mediate the fallout. According to insiders, Day-Lewis threatened to walk off the film entirely, calling Krieps' methods a threat to the art of acting. Despite the turmoil, the final product was a masterpiece. Yet the relationship between Day-Lewis and Krieps remains a fascinating study of clashing ideologies. While their collaboration created cinematic magic, it also revealed the fragility of Day-Lewis's artistic ego. The film's critical success proved their chemistry on screen, but their personal clash raised a deeper question. Could two opposing forces truly coexist in the pursuit of art? Liam Neeson. The clash between Daniel Day-Lewis and Liam Neeson during the filming of Gangs of New York was a perfect storm of conflicting personalities. Neeson, known for his no-nonsense demeanor, had little patience for Day-Lewis's method madness. Their feud began when Day-Lewis insisted on being addressed as Bill, even off-set. Neeson found this absurd and turned it into a running joke, calling him Billy the Joke behind his back. The tension escalated during a key fight scene. In the heat of the moment, Day-Lewis delivered an unscripted punch that landed squarely on Neeson. Furious, Neeson reportedly shouted, "Save your method for someone who cares," before storming off. The hostility didn't stop there. Neeson mocked Day-Lewis's process publicly, describing him as a man too lost in his characters to find his way back to reality. Day-Lewis, in turn, called Neeson a blunt instrument, dismissing his acting style as primitive.
Looking to be set upon so that I could unleash physical violence.
Crew members recounted heated arguments where the two nearly came to blows. At one point, the director had to physically separate them, halting production for hours. Insiders described the set as a war zone, with everyone walking on eggshells to avoid triggering another explosion. Despite their animosity, their performances in Gangs of New York were lauded. Yet their relationship serves as a reminder of the fine line between artistic passion and personal conflict. For Day-Lewis, it was another battle in his lifelong war for creative supremacy. Despite the animosity, their performances were unforgettable. But it leaves us wondering, was their tension the secret ingredient to the film's brilliance, or its greatest risk?